Hello, and thank you for stopping by. My name is Sheila, and I'm recording a series of videos in regards to my spiritual awakening. And this particular video, I'm going to be talking about how ayahuasca really helped with my spiritual awakening. And so, I guess to begin, um, I do have a long list of things that I would like to talk about, so I kind of wrote it down. So if you see me glancing down, it's because there's so much. There's so much. It's so condensed. So if I had to start, it would have to be that I was stuck in a very toxic relationship with my kid's dad. Okay, I was using alcohol as a way to cope with depression. On top of that, I was a stay at home mom for a few years, and it was my identity. It became a part of me. It's just being a mom and not having a supportive partner. It was basically one of those relationships where he made all the money, and so I was just basically the caregiver and the housekeeper, and the list goes on. And so I got really depressed. So I was full of fear, doubt, indecision because I knew I wanted to get out. I just didn't see a way out. Okay. I was so miserable and I held on to so much resentment towards him because of all the years of manipulation and abuse. So I have a close friend who has a husband who's in like the wellness community, and he had mentioned to me something about plant medicine. And so I got into that. I was like, sure, I'd like to hear more. So it was ayahuasca. And so I'd heard about it before, and I'm pretty down. I've done shrooms before, and the last time I did it, it was a really magical experience. I felt so much love and a deeper connection to Source that I thought maybe this ayahuasca thing would be something similar to that. Yeah, without a thought, I decided to sign up and I waited for the magical weekend to arrive. This was my last hope at saving my relationship. Okay. I was starting to figure out also that I have gifts that needed to be uncovered. So, as I have mentioned in my other videos, is that I started doing a lot of deep meditating and started communicating with my spirit guides and divine beings of light and tapping into that whole thing. And I, during my meditations, would put out there that I wanted to be a vessel for light and healing energy to bring that here to earth and spread to the people around me. And so I was just having a hard time realizing how I could make that happen. So before the 3-day weekend, you have to cut out a lot of foods and just habits. So it's usually about 10 days before the ceremonies that you're encouraged to cut out a bunch of stuff. I decided 30 days just because I was really committed to wanting to make sure that all that toxic crap was out of my body. And so just to read a laundry list of things that I had to clear out and remove from my habits or food, and you had to follow la dieta, which is the diet. So mind you that the ayahuasca ceremony and traditions comes from the Shipibo tribes in Peru. And so la dieta means like the diet. So it consisted of no red meat, no pork. So I'm a vegetarian and that was super easy for me to do. So no biggie there. No excess sugar except for in fruits, no processed foods, no junk food, no fried food, no salt, no fermented foods, no alcohol, no weed, no recreational drugs, no spices, no seasonings, no sex, no masturbation. And at this point, pretty much that was already cut out of my lifestyle anyways. So just a very bland diet. I was eating just rice and vegetables and salad, avocados. Yeah, I was really committed. I stopped drinking alcohol. It was kind of hard, just because it's like such a staple in everyday lives now. It's just like you go to somebody's house and it's like, hey, you want a beer? And so, and then also just like hitting the vape is just so easy, right? So before the 3-day ceremony, I was asked what my intentions were. I stated that I needed to rediscover my identity. I had been dedicating my life to my kids, and I was tired of being just mom. Obviously, I alluded to the problems I was having with my partner, but I didn't get specific. I also brought up the spiritual aspect and how I wanted to open up my gifts to the world. First night after the first dose was kind of mellow. And so, it's a very small, intimate gathering of people, and it's a very sacred ceremony. After everybody takes their initial dose, you go back to your mat, and for about literally 45 minutes, you're just sitting there in complete darkness. Actually, you're in darkness the whole time. You're given like a bucket to puke in and a flashlight that has like a red film over it, some toilet paper to wipe up, water bottle, and I brought with me a little stuffy that my kids told me to bring with me. It's a little piggy, so I brought that just to keep me comfort since my kids were not going to be with me. So yeah, the first dose was like really mellow. It almost kind of felt like a slight shroom trip, and so they called for seconds, and so I was like, heck yeah, hook me up. So I took like probably what I think is probably the largest second dose you can take, and I'm glad I did. I did so much healing the first night. I started feeling like a little dreamy. It was like a pastel world. It almost was like cupcakes and unicorns and rainbows and butterflies. And it was just so beautiful, these visuals that I was seeing, right? But in my visuals, I looked up and I saw dark clouds and like really creepy and just kind of scary, right? But then that's when I realized, I was like, that's where I need to go. I need to go up there because that's where all the darkness is that I need to work on. So I made a choice to either stay in La La Land or get up there and go do some work. Okay, so as soon as I went up there, that's when I was faced with many challenges. Just to basically sum up, technically, ayahuasca, she's a feminine energy. She presented me with, in her hypothetical hands, I felt it, and she says, this is what you need to do. And it was to forgive my kid's dad. Okay. So as soon as I accepted that and I forgave him, I felt so much relief come over me, like this weight came off, and it felt so much better just because I had been carrying around all that resentment for so many years. And after that, it was just like this release. And, there's a few things that I was tripping on too. I was thinking like, I'm getting rid of all the TVs. I don't want my kids to have any screen time. It's the Black Mirror, the mark of the beast. And so, I started thinking I'm going to take away all my kids' tablets, and it got real deep. So yeah, for the first night, I would say that I did so much healing that the second night, it was my birthday, and so I decided to kind of take it easy on myself. I didn't want to I knew that I was there to do a lot of work, but just because that first night I did so much healing, that the second night I just took it easy on myself. However, I did start off with a little bit of anxiety. I had some coca tea, which had a lot of caffeine, and I had already cut out coffee out of my 30-day dieta. And so I was really sensitive to this coca tea that everybody was drinking. And so I got a little anxiety, and I was just like started to like doubt myself. And I was just kind of like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm kind of over it. But however, they went to call for seconds, and that's when I was like, God, I mean, do I really want to do this again? Like, I'm over it already. And so I went up to the healer guy, which I completely forgot to say that they opened up the ceremonies with Icaros, which is like singing, chanting that helps bring up the medicine. It works really well with a medicine. And so the healers bring you up to their mat and they sing to you, and they basically pick up on your energies, and you obviously tell them your intentions before you get there, and they do their magic, and I feel it. So I went up there and I was like, I don't know if I want to do it again. And he's like, oh, you don't have to if you don't want to. And I was like, all right. So I went back to my mat, right? And I was like, why did you come here? Why did you come here? Like, you're not going to do on your second night, you're not going to do that second dose. So I was like, all right. I was like battling back and forth. And I was like, all right. So I went back over there and I was like, hey, you know what? I actually am going to do that second dose. All right, cool. So I took it, and man, am I so glad I did that second dose, because it ended up being the best night. Like I said, I was trying to just chill because I didn't want to work on any dark stuff anymore. And so, not gonna lie, I was it's a good thing it was like so dark in there, because I was on my mat, and as they were singing the Icaros, the chanting singing, I was just jamming out. I was like, and that's when I started learning a lot of lessons, and things that, obviously I already knew, but like, movement and constant energy flow. Don't be stagnant. Keep it going. I even started a journal with a bunch of stuff that I wrote down that I'll share. But I got called up to the mat to get sang to. And oh my gosh, I kept on vibing. I was just like, I love myself. I deserve this. This is what I came for. This is the best. Like, I was just so happy. I felt so much love from myself. And I pretty soon just started to cry because I loved myself so much. And, this is probably where the shedding of my skin happened, is when I let go of the mom identity and actually brought in the new me. The old me died that night, and the new me came out. And so I shed that skin. And so after he was done singing to me, I just ran back to my mat, and I had brought a little stuffy. And so I just cuddled it, and another lesson kicked in. Embrace your inner child and bring her out to play and heal that inner child in you. And more lessons that I had learned, actually, is this is also a big one for me, is that, earlier in the ceremony, I was kind of like not vibing. I was kind of like over it. And then that's when the lesson came up that, like, how are you going to help other people in their spiritual path if you don't have mental fortitude, And I was able to overcome that anxiety that I was feeling at the very beginning of my ayahuasca trip there on the second day. And it reminded me of, like, okay, you want to help other people, so you yourself are going to have to be strong. Okay, so mind blown. I was also, thinking, okay, you have to show gratitude every day and teach your kids gratitude. I also just wanted to read off, because I did journal while I was there, and it was just so impactful for me. Don't forget to create a timeline of positive energy. Put on an intention every day, all day long. Show gratitude, teach gratitude to my kids, gratitude, say thank you for any opportunity. Stagnant energy creates negative energy. Energy is all around us. keep moving, to keep the energy flow, manipulate energy, mental fortitude, love yourself, acknowledge yourself and your small wins. Talk positive about yourself, embrace your inner child, play, and be creative. And that's when I actually journal. That's when I got this figure that popped up for me during that ceremony. Was Dolores Cannon. Okay, she's a hypnotherapist who came up with a technique, quantum healing hypnosis technique. So that's another thing that I'll have to get into in another video, because lo and behold, I started getting into that. Spiritual journey continues. All right. So then the third night, I decided that I wasn't going to do a second dose. It was very mellow, and I just kept on, saying to myself, like, the medicine is working. Just trust the medicine. It's doing its thing. And so I ended up leaving on a high note. And not gonna lie, when I got back home after my 3-day ceremony of doing ayahuasca, I had a time to look at my relationship that I was in with my kid's dad and recognize that it was very toxic. I was trying to heal myself, right? And I was vibing up here, and I realized, I was like, well, I'm over here doing all the work of trying to heal myself, to heal my relationship and heal my family so my kids can heal. But then how is it that my partner isn't doing the same thing? He wasn't going after doing spirituality things and going and healing himself. And so we were just not clicking. Obviously, we weren't clicking for the longest time. For many, many years, it was just not clicking. And so 2 weeks after I got back from my ceremonies, I moved out and I got my very own apartment. And so now I am a single mom, and I have my kids 50-50, split custody with my kid's dad. And the times when I don't have my kids, I focus on my spirituality and learning new things. I became a meditation coach. I am taking classes to become a sound healing practitioner, and now I am an intern with quantum healing hypnosis technique. And so it's just like snowballed into this great awakening of things that I'm just trying to get out there. And so that's how ayahuasca helped me to propel myself into this amazing adventure that I'm in. And, it's not for everybody. Not gonna lie, when I left on that last day, I was like, I don't know if I'm down with all the puking, because you actually are listening to people vomiting the whole time. Well, not the whole time, but it gets kind of like gross after a little while. And so just thinking about that kind of makes me weirded out. And it wasn't even like, for me, I wasn't really puking, like, like projectile vomiting or anything like that at all. It was more kind of like just spitting up. And you can feel it, the medicine, I could feel it like weaving in and out of my fibers and just going deep in there and working out all this, because my goal was to just clear out any stagnant negative energy that was causing any blockages. And I could feel it doing that, And so now I am so ready to go back and keep at it and keep working. All right. So that's it in a nutshell. I can't think of anything else to say in regards to my ayahuasca experience. But if you'd like to give it a try, I think that if you can hang on a shroom trip, then you could probably hang with ayahuasca. It's very strict, though, when it comes to the food restrictions and the lifestyle restrictions, because if you really want to feel the effects of the medicine and feel it working, then you're gonna have to really consider cutting out all those things. And if you're not ready to, then it's something that's going to have to call to you. This called to me. I mean, it just fell into my lap. I was feeling depressed, and a friend came to me and said, hey, I know of this deal here. If you want to give it a try, why not? Anywho, well, I hope that you found this video informative, and I would love to hear if you have any experiences about your spiritual awakening. How is it going with you? What's going on? All right. Well, I hope you're having a magical day. I send you love and light and healing. Thank you so much for watching.